Okay, so it's time for us to go ahead and get back into our coverage over the X-Men, right? And so we're going to pick up with X-Force issue number 48. Now, I kind of feel like this might be another short video. I'm sorry, guys. We got to jump back and forth between different X titles. But after Age of Apocalypse, most of the storylines were kind of like one-shot or two-part story arcs that led into, Onslaught. But either way, as we jump into X-Force issue number 48, this honestly does kind of build off of what we saw in our last video back in Uncanny X-Men issue number 327, the whole idea of Sabertooth. Because around this time in Marvel Comics, you had two big things going on when it came to the X-Men. The first was that, you had the character better known as Charles Xavier, who was trying to achieve this goal where he wanted to fix the mind of Sabertooth, to turn him into a better person. Now, we already know that's one heck of a goal to set yourself up for when it comes to the character better known as Sabertooth. But he wanted to achieve that goal to hopefully make him a better person. But at the same time, you had Wolverine stab the brain of Sabertooth. Now, when he did that, it did cause some brain damage. Now, with this brain damage, it kind of turned Sabertooth into a different type of character where he began to act like he was some kind of house pet, where he needed people to help properly take care of him. And with all that being said, you did have all the different X characters try to help him, but the problem was Boom Boom. She was doing more than the usual thing you do when it came to taking care of somebody. It seemed like she had built some kind of bond with him and kind of hoping that once his brain did properly heal, he would then become a better person. And so for the rest of the X characters who live with Charles Xavier, they have some major concerns for Boom Boom because again, she's trying to build that bond with Sabertooth. She believes that he'll turn into a better person. And so when she walks into the kitchen, she sees all the different members of the X-Force. And they're kind of like, hey, we got to talk about your problem. Now, she has no idea what they're talking about at first because they didn't tell her why they're all here right now to talk to her about. Now, at first, she kind of believes that, maybe just maybe somebody had died. But once they said no, you got to fix your problems, you did have Cannonball appear. Now, around this time in Marvel Comics, Cannonball and also Boom Boom, they were a couple. But Cannonball had left X-Force to go join the X-Men. But he also has some concerns about Boom Boom. And so this kind of leads into Caliban kind of expressing what they're all worried about. You see, for Caliban, he begins to talk about the Mutant Massacre. As you all know, the Mutant Massacre was the first big X-Men crossover where you had the Marauders, almost the Morlocks, you had Marauders go into the tunnels that belonged to the Morlocks. And Sabertooth was one of those Marauders who began to kill off a bunch of Morlocks, friends to Caliban. And so is Caliban saying how can you be so friendly to somebody who had killed off so many people who were close to me? The dude you're helping right now is a well-known serial killer. But for Boom Boom, she begins to say that's not fair for Sabertooth because she believes in second chances. And here's the reason why. Because most of the people on X-Force, they have done something in the past that was completely wrong, but they were given a second chance. Her prime example is Sunspot because right before Age of Apocalypse, Sunspot was a character known as Rainfire, this evil version of himself. But thanks to Cable, he was able to turn Sunspot back to normal. But it's Boom Boom saying hey, look, we gave him a second chance and now he's a better person. Now for Cannonball and rest of X-Force, they're saying yeah, you may give Victor, Sabertooth, a second chance, but you don't know if he might fail. But for her, the same thing goes for Sunspot. We have no idea of the possibility of him turning back into a bad guy once again. Now, for Warpath, he also makes a good argument here because he said, listen, for Sunspot, he had earned our trust back, but for Sabertooth, he has not earned that trust to make us believe that he is a better person, because at least for Sunspot, he only had a small moment in time where he went crazy. But for Sabertooth, the dude is a well-known serial killer. He had killed off so many people over the years when it comes to his character. But for Boom Boom, she still believes of the idea of redemption. She believes in the possibility that he can become a better person again. Now for Shatterstar, he truly believes that for Boom Boom, she does not need any help at all, because in his mindset, she's telling everyone she got all of this handled, that she'll be okay. And so for him, he's kind of like, hey, listen, I only came here because you guys believe that she was in danger, but technically she's not in danger, which means I'm gonna go ahead and just walk away. And so the whole entire argument ends on the note where you have the members of X-Force kind of fail to show Boom Boom the right path to take in their minds. Now for Siren, she does go over to Storm and Charles Xavier. Really, for Storm, she had also tried to talk to Boom Boom about the idea of her, talking to Sabertooth, being there for Sabertooth. And so for Storm, she's saying like, listen, I kind of understand what's going on with Boom Boom because she has a lot riding on this friendship that she has built with Sabertooth. Now for Charles Xavier, he's saying, listen, this intervention might have to go to the next level. Do you need our help? But for Siren, that's a no. And the reason why, because this is X-Force business. Now, out of nowhere, we kind of jump over to the South Seas where we do pick up with Holocaust. Now, remember, Holocaust is the son of Apocalypse, but from a different reality, better known as Age of Apocalypse reality, because for Holocaust and a few other characters, they were able to come over into this reality once that one kind of had supposedly ended. And so for Holocaust, he just stuck here in the main Marvel universe. But then out of nowhere, he's confronted by Sebastian Shaw. Now, this is huge because for a good while in Marvel Comics, we were left to believe that Sebastian was dead. And matter of fact, his son was the one who killed him and replaced him as the Black King of the Hellfire Club. But right now, it's Marvel saying, nope, he's back. And the question is now, how in the world did this man come back to life? But getting back over to X-Force, you do have X-Force continue to talk to Boom Boom, but the conversation gets completely worse. And the reason why, because now you have X-Force say, you have to choose. The friendship you have right now with Sabertooth or the team. It's them basically saying that if you continue to try to build this friendship to be with Sabertooth, then most likely we're going to have no choice here but to go ahead and remove you from X-Force. But for Boom Boom, what she wants to establish is that people deserve a second chance. Now for Charles Xavier, he does step in, but for Boom Boom, she said, you can't step in because look at your best friend Magneto. He was an evil mutant that you had given so many chances over the years, but he had completely failed. And technically, she's right because there was a point in time where you had Magneto lead the X-Men. Like, you had Charles say like, hey, Magneto, you know what? I believe you're a better person now. I'm going to leave, hang out with my space girlfriend while you lead the X-Men. But over time, you had Magneto go back to his old ways. But it's Boom Boom saying, why can't Victor get that second chance like you gave to Magneto? But of course, you have X-Force and Charles say, you have to choose. Like, make the right choice here. You can't blame anyone else in the room. You can't blame Cannonball for leaving X-Force and going to the X-Men. So again, right now, make the right choice. Now, we also kind of get the idea, the reason why she's trying so hard to save Victor, Sabertooth, because for her, she had given up on her father. She gave her father so many chances to become a better person, but unfortunately, he kept just messing up. And so for her, she had to give up on him. And so right now, she's kind of hoping that she does not have to do the same thing when it comes to Sabertooth. She goes into the danger room to talk to him to see if he was truly pretending. He does not answer, but as soon as she runs away, we get this image of him kind of looking like he's going back into his old ways once again. So sooner or later, we should get the classic Sabertooth back in Marvel Comics. But with that being said, guys, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.